It's Wednesday, so that means it's time to get a little weird.
A little freaky.
Yeah.
Not today.
Nah.
Not this Wednesday?
I'm not in the mood.
Okay.
It's been a long day. No, it's time to talk about some weird and I'm I don't like to be a control freak, but sometimes it can be, but I'm turning the reins over to Jessi.
Only because I had the best idea.
Well, and you're probably going to read better than I do.
I doubt that.
I don't know.
It's late. Yeah, I'm not. It's okay, though, because you're still going to be freaked out.
Maybe. So what's tonight's subject?
We're doing black-eyed children.
Black-eyed children.
Or black-eyed kids, as some people like to say, but I don't think that has a nice ring to it. So.
They are terrifying. Almost as terrifying as black-eyed peas. They're disgusting.
You better watch your dirty mouth.
You like black-eyed peas?
I do. Who doesn't?
What I said earlier about you being one of my best friends off mic.
Come on.
I'm not taking it away, but I'm not saying that I'm not giving it some thought here.
Did I lose some notches?
You just went down a notch.
Dang.
No, I'm just.
It was worth it.
You like what you like.
It's worth it.
You choose black-eyed peas over me?
I mean, no, I wouldn't.
God bless you.
Yeah.
So black-eyed kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
number one, what are black-eyed kids?
Well, I'll read this little article from Wikipedia.
Look at you citing your sources. I'm so proud of you.
Well, first of all, Justin asked if we had done a topic already that we had, and I said yes, and he was like, I don't think so, and I was like, okay, it's all you, buddy. And then he messaged me talking about, yeah, we did. So I suggested this because this might be the only thing that scares me more than skinwalkers.
Oh, which if you're just joining the channel for the first time, go check out last week's. You can find so I think on like iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud, you only usually get about 3 at a time.
Yeah.
So some of them might be gone, but you can go to our YouTube channel and you can get every one we've done. And we did skinwalkers last week.
Mm-hmm. And that was really freaky.
Some freaky. Apparently, Jessi is really terrified of skinwalkers.
I am now. I mean, like, who isn't?
I'm not that worried about them.
Don't lie. And then you tried to tell me there was like a freaking wolf or something in the backyard.
I left from our podcast last week and went straight to the gym, and I don't know why. I got in my truck and I thought I'm just gonna with Jessi. So I just Googled picture of a coyote and I sent it to Jessi, and it's like, oh my God, this was in my yard. Thinking she would be like, oh my God, a skinwalker's coming because we talked about him, but luckily. She was like, you were on it. You were like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I was like really wishful thinking because you kind of had me. You kind of had me. But I was wishful thinking that it wasn't true.
Well, fortunately for you, it wasn't, because if we had, even though I'm not that, don't believe much into the paranormal, if I would have stepped outside after that podcast and we had said, if you talk about skinwalkers, it attracts them, and saw a coyote in my yard, which I live in a neighborhood, I would have been freaked out.
That would have been really okay. I didn't even think about the fact you wouldn't just stand there and take a picture of it.
No, not one that looked like. Then the one in the picture was like baring its teeth and looked scary. All evil,
and it looked really close. Anyways, back to the black-eyed children. Let's
hear it.
All right, this is from Wikipedia. Black-eyed children are an American contemporary legend of paranormal creatures that resemble children between ages 6 and 16. That is so kids are just scary. Between 6 and 16.
Yes. So that's a pretty wide range there.
Think about the little ones, though. Like, oh.
So you've got, how old is your daughter?
She's 4.
And your son is 9?
Yes.
So, yeah, he could fall in the range.
No, don't say that.
Of a black-eyed kid.
Don't do that. Okay. With pale skin and black eyes, who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging, or are encountered on doorsteps of residential homes. Okay, so apparently it starts out with this guy. His name was Brian Bethel, and he was a reporter. And he had an encounter with a black-eyed child. So he wrote about it on this. He wrote about it on a ghost-related mailing list. and relating 2 alleged encounters with black-eyed kids. Bethel describes encountering 2 such children in Abilene, Texas in 1996, and claims that a second person had a similar unrelated encounter in Portland, Oregon. Bethel's stories have become regarded as classic examples of creepypasta and gained such popularity that he published an FAQ just to keep up with the demand for more info about the new urban legend. So, after that happened, there was like news reports. I think in England. I don't know where yeah. British tabloid. Okay, yeah, in England. That's in England, right?
Well, and you said tabloid?
Well, okay.
When I see tabloid, it just worries me because tabloids be posting.
Oh, well.
Just some bullshit.
Okay, during 1 week in September 2014, the British tabloid Daily Star ran 3, I don't know that word, sensationalistic front page stories about alleged sightings of black-eyed children.
And so before this Brian guy had an encounter, had anybody ever reported on them before?
So there are some people think that these stories have been in existence since the 1980s, but I think the first one reported on was 1996. Like that's the one
that got like worldwide attention.
Right, I guess, or that they can find.
And from what I remember, like black-eyed kids ask your permission.
Yes,
always,
so like
right?
It's like they're vampires or something.
That's what it sounds like, is vampires can't enter your home without your permission. And it from what I remember reading about black-eyed kids, it's like they always, either they want you to let them in the car to give them a ride, or they want to let you come in to use the phone.
And then if you like deny them, they get hostile, not like hostile, but kind of like their tone. You know, like they just get very aggravated that you're not letting them in.
And you know, there was actually a comic series from, I think, Boom Comics, for anybody out there that reads comics, called Black-Eyed Kids, and I've got the whole run of it.
No.
And it's not scary. It's really, really stupid.
Is it from the point of view of the black-eyed kids?
No, but remember, I wanted to write a story one time from the point of view of like a black-eyed person. Like this whole story is being told, and then like at the very end, you find out the person telling it is the black-eyed kid.
I wish you would write that.
Right before right as they're basically explaining to someone why they have, like they're getting ready to kill someone.
What was the reason?
Well, it's just this whole long convoluted story about how black-eyed kids become black-eyed kids.
Well, what was your take on it?
It was like passing a curse that had something to do with like, you know, Satanism, and like, you know, it's like the eyes get black because you're pretty much giving your body's a host to this like demonic thing,
and your eyes are the window to the soul. So if they have no soul, the windows are black. Them lights are off.
Kind of like Venom, like you have to feed the demon within. So like you are like black-eyed kids, in my interpretation, were like basically it was like they had taken over your body and they want to eat people. And so you're aware and you're there for the whole ride. But basically, if you don't want them to fully take control of you and you still want to be there, you have to let them sometimes do that. So she's explaining to the person she's about to kill why this is about to happen.
Okay.
And then her eyes turn black and she eats the person.
So why are they always kids, though?
I don't know. Some people, and you know, of course, that was just a fictional story.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I don't think that's like actually it. It's just kind of like a story I thought would be cool to write. But I don't know. Some people say like extraterrestrials, like they're trying to like live among us, and because you got to think. So with extraterrestrials, the Greys. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're familiar with extraterrestrial types, right? Like Greys. Yeah. You know what they are, right? I mean, what is the common reporting? They're really short.
Yeah.
About the height of a 6 to 16-year-old. You know, they're little, so they can't parade around as grown people because they'd be really short. However,
true.
They could, you know, make themselves look like convincing 6 to 16-year-olds.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe they've got some agreement with the United States government or some bigger body that like they need permission.
Considering what we know about the government. And kids.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh, wait, but no, because they get adults, but still, I mean, ugh.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's aliens because I think that aliens are good, except for the reptilians. I don't really know if they're aliens, but I think aliens are good and all they want to do is
You don't
help
believe
us.
in like the David Icke reptilians, do you? Because David Icke's just completely.
I don't even know who that is.
Bat crazy.
So I'm going to say no.
Man, I've watched some of his stuff. Number one, his hands are always pointed in a weird way. And he's the one talking about how like there's a hollow earth and there's these reptilian species under the earth and they're really the ones that run the government.
Yeah. No, I do believe that. That's what I believe.
You don't believe that.
Why?
Because number one, they're reptilians. Number two.
But do you believe in reptilians?
No.
Reptilians?
No.
But why?
But some people also believe the Illuminati runs. Then you got these conspiracy theorists, and I'm not downing if you like conspiracies. That is super cool. You can look on my bookshelf. I love reading about them. I think that they're cool ideas.
You're just not easily convinced.
No, and it's like, some people are just like, they got to have it all. They're like, well, you know what? We live on a flat earth and the world's run by reptilian Illuminati.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're just taking every conspiracy theory.
Everything is true.
And combining it into one. Like the flat earth is something I just don't understand.
That's the one conspiracy theory that I have the most trouble with. Everything else I'm very gullible about.
You should, because it's not. Even they had a documentary on Netflix like where they were giving the flat earthers a chance to like, and they proved themselves wrong with their own experiments.
Stupid.
So it's just
y'all stupid.
So it's just but I know the reptilians. What if the black-eyed children are reptilians?
Ooh.
Are reptilians like our height, or like would they be smaller?
They can shapeshift, so
there you go. Maybe the eyes are the one thing they can't change.
But
kind of like, remember did you ever see the movie The Thing?
I don't know.
Or like so in the remake in 2011,
Okay.
it's a shape-shifting alien. Like it absorbs you and it can shape-shift into you.
I didn't see that, no.
So in that movie, basically like the woman finds fillings. So they come to realize that it can replicate bioorganic matter.
She finds feelings like...
No, fillings in your teeth. Like,
Wait, what? she found fillings?
Teeth fillings.
But why?
Because
a pile of them?
Yeah, the thing could replicate bioorganic, like natural,
okay.
like we're made, but fillings in your teeth are not natural. It's something that's put there, and so it couldn't replicate that part of the person.
So they just popped on out.
So it's like maybe the reptilians can like replicate everything, but they can't change their eyes. I don't know.
Dang! So them things in the movie were just walking around with toothaches.
Oh, it's an interesting movie.
I might have to watch that.
I think it would. It's not that scary, but have you finished The Haunting of Hill House?
I didn't know because I don't like it. I could not get into it. It's not. I don't like drama stuff.
I don't like drama either, but it's touching.
I don't like touching stuff either, though. Like I don't.
Well, then you just need to go ahead and skip to the end and just watch it.
Just tell me what happens, but not on here because everybody would be mad. Okay, so this Bethel guy still claims to this day that his encounter with the black-eyed children was real, and he wasn't just writing this for clout.
Did he make any money off of it?
He was on a TV show. That's all I know. Talking about it, like on a talk show. I had it right here. The TV series Monsters and Mysteries in America. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Me either, and now I want to watch it.
And what was his name again?
His name is Brian Bethel.
I'm going to Google to see what he looks like. Brian.
Does he look like he makes up stuff?
Bethel. Yeah, does he look like the kind of guy that would make this stuff up?
And I read his story one time before, but it's not on here.
I mean, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, is that the black-eyed kid, Brian Bethel?
I don't know.
Let's see, Brian Bethel.
Well, black-eyed kids showed up underneath that, so probably.
But there's another picture of a skinnier dude.
Maybe he had.
Look at these black-eyed kids.
Ugh.
Let's see. Ooh, what'd you do if like your son was like, "Hey, mom"?
No.
And you looked down and that was him looking up at you.
Punch him. It's always my answer.
Judy Chop. So, do you have some real life encounters?
I do. Somewhere, if I can figure this out.
This picture's always freaked me out.
Ew, that's not real. That's.
Oh, it's certainly not real, but it's freaky.
All right, so why can't I figure this out? I'm so stupid.
Now, this is 100% real.
Yeah, but they
that child died.
Yeah.
Like that was actually a really sad story.
Wasn't he like super dehydrated? Why couldn't they get him out?
Something was pinning that kid like underwater, and it took them too long. That one's actually
so
really sad. Yeah, that's the comic book series, which I know listeners you can't see this. That's the comic I was talking about.
Black Eyed Kids.
It was really dumb.
Okay, I don't freaking know how to do this. I'm trying.
Jessi, this was your one chance.
Listen,
and you're blowing it.
I'm telling you, when I was sitting in the car, I figured it out. I mean, you could just pause it and let me figure this out.
Is it there yet?
No. Oh my God. Why am I like this? I mean, you could help me.
How can I help you?
I don't know. Okay, my collections is what it's called. Let me see if I can just type that in. My collection.
You're fired.
I know. Oh, I found it, Justin. All right, let's see. 16 terrifying and... Jeez.
I muted my mic. You could have kept going.
They can hear that in my mic.
I mean, if you would have kept talking, though, it would have went over that.
Well, I had to make sure you were okay. That was like a dying cough.
Oh, I mean, I'm dying, but other than that, I'm fine.
Don't do that. Okay, are y'all ready?
I'm ready. Freak me out.
All right, Midnight Caller. This one is long, but I've read it before and it was good.
All right, let's hear it. I'm excited.
It almost felt like a dream. I woke up to my dog, Lucy, barking. She was upright on the bed where my husband and I were sleeping with our 22-month-old daughter. Don't you hate when people do that? I'm sorry.
Just say you're
she's like
almost 2.
Right. Okay. Staring at our door like an unknown stranger was out there rummaging around. I think she's talking about the dog, not the kid, because that would be weird.
Was the kid barking at the door too?
Yeah. I thought she was just freaking out over a house noise. We'd only had her for 3 months and she was still a puppy. It could have been anything: our roommate, our creak from the house settling, the awning moving outside in the breeze. I wasn't too concerned initially. I decided the best bet would be to open the door and show her nothing was there. It sounded a bit silly, but it's what we do with our daughter when she gets scared, and I figured it should work with the puppy too. I opened the door and she raced to the front door. She stood there, snarling at the door. It was an angry, violent growl, one I had never heard her make before. I looked groggily at her and opened the baby gate blocking the doorway, planning to open the door and show her everything was okay. The second my hand reached for the deadbolt, Lucy went wild. She started barking and jumping towards me, and when I touched the metal, she suddenly changed her temper. She whimpered almost like she was afraid and backing down. As her mannerism changed, so did mine. I wasn't calm anymore. My heart was racing and sinking at the same time. I had been flooded with a mixture of fear and dread. That's what they say happens when
I do remember reading that. Like, you just have this overwhelming sense like something is wrong.
All right, yeah, terrifying. I looked through the peephole. I can't explain why I looked, but I did. Outside, there were 2 kids. One just a smidgen shorter than me and didn't look much younger. I'm 21 and she looked to be 16 or 17. She was slender and pale. Her hair was a light shade of honey blonde, and she wore it long, about mid-back, with long, thin, blunt bangs in the front that covered most of her eyes. She wore jeans, a light wash that's popular right now, and a thin-looking olive-colored pullover-style hoodie. There was a loud noise. I'm sorry.
I have a dog upstairs, and I guess he just jumped off the bed, and olive green hoodie. Hey, man, hoodies are freaky.
That was a really scary color. She held the hand of a small girl who looked to be around 3 or 4.
Oh, they're getting even younger.
In the same style jeans and a button-down ivory cardigan. The smaller one looked at the floor shyly, but had the same shade of hair tied back in a ponytail. She held a stuffed toy under her free arm, and it was identical to one my daughter has. Ugh. As was their style of dress. Oh, they had probably been watching her and wore clothes that her daughter wore and had the same stuffed animal so that she felt comfortable.
That is that adds a new level of creepy.
Oh, okay. Where was that? It's the black-eyed child.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lost my spot.
You know what I do?
Okay, what?
I keep my finger, like as I'm reading, I follow it with my thumb.
I'm going to do that now.
Then if we stop to talk about something, I know where.
Okay. Had it not been for the feeling of overwhelming dread and fear, I probably would have asked these children in and given them some tea or hot chocolate to get them out of the bitter cold. Something about them seemed off. At this point, I hadn't made any noise. I hadn't shushed the dog or grumbled, nothing. I hadn't turned on any lights. These kids had no indicator I was at the door. The older one spoke.
So she didn't even let them know she was at the door, and it's just like they knew she was there.
She had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward, and I couldn't see her eyes. She said, "We have to use your phone." I stood frozen in fear. How did she know I was there? She raised her head to face me directly, and that was when I saw her eyes. There was a reason I couldn't see them through her bangs before. They were black, or midnight blue, or dark, dark purple. They were otherworldly. She said, "Our mother is worried." Jeez, child, you're so scary. As someone who has always been interested in creepy stories, I knew what she was the second she looked at me through the door. I have never been one to believe in these things. As a staunch atheist and skeptic when it comes to the paranormal, I had written off many a ghost story from friends and family members eager to tell their tale. I didn't believe it. Still, I couldn't rationalize my way out of this. I was standing with nothing but a thin wooden door between me and a black-eyed kid. There was no questioning what was right in front of me. I did not answer her. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door. Lucy, still cowering at my ankles, she kept talking. "Just let us in to use your phone." I took another step back, and with that step, the tone changed. At first, she seemed polite. When I took that second step back, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in. I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?" Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backwards, though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling me back toward the door. It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go back and let them in. I got to my room, covered up the window, locked the door, and sat there in the dim light of the nightlight. I heard her call me back to the door once more and then quiet. I didn't go back to sleep that night. Yeah, I bet. And haven't slept right since.
I wouldn't either.
Me either. I would have to move countries.
Then they would just follow you.
No. I know from reading about them that BEKs, black-eyed kids, can't just come in without permission because they're vampires. No, she didn't say that. I said that. I know they haven't hurt anyone, but I still fear I'll be the exception. When I told my husband, he said it was just a dream. He keeps telling me to forget it, but this lingering feeling of sadness, this dread when the house is silent at night, this fear of a knock at the door, this tells me otherwise. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and real quick for the people. So which site is this on?
Oh, my bad. This is called Thought Catalog.
Thought Catalog.
Sorry.
Okay. So Thought Catalog.
I'm new at this.
That is, and it is interesting because there's something too that she kind of touched on, but like one commonality is that there always seems to be a dominant one,
Yeah.
and a very submissive one that almost like doesn't want to do it.
Right.
It's all, in this one, it seems like the other kid just didn't say anything, but I've heard stories where it's like one's being very aggressive and persistent, and the other one almost looks nervous, like they're going to get caught or we shouldn't be doing this. And that's a pretty common theme amongst all of these supposed encounters.
Or maybe. Sorry. That was way louder than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Maybe they're recruiting these small children and they have to teach them the ways. And the kids are scared because they know they have to do something that's like just horrific.
So you're saying that there's a black-eyed kid in training?
Right. Yeah. They kidnap them or something, but then they have to do what they got to do, and the kids got to learn.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, because otherwise, why would the younger kid? I mean, what's your theory? Why would the younger kid act like that?
Let's see. Now yours is pretty good. Maybe, but I mean, why? It's hardly ever just a black-eyed kid.
Right. It's always
two. And it's always an older one, and it's always a younger one. Now, rationality dictates that, that's what was told in the very original story, so everyone just kind of copied the same format when they made these stories up.
Oh, yeah.
But if we want to stay within the realm of what-ifs and paranormal, I mean, your theory is pretty sound. I mean, maybe you've got like a newly converted or, one that's never had to do this, and they're showing them like how to do whatever it is they do, because if anybody's ever let them in, they've never told the story. Maybe they didn't live to tell the story, but I've never read a story where someone says they actually let them in.
Well, I have one for you that I'm about to read.
That has that? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that'll be a first.
Because that's one of the things that, like, when you look at this stuff, it everywhere says, but we don't know what happens when you let them in because nobody has, lived to tell about it. But I gotta find it because it's on here. So this is from this is from Thought Catalog. Hold on. I'm sorry. This is one of my favorite ones.
And if any listeners can hear what sounds to be construction in the background, that would just be my daughter running around upstairs like a crazy person. Or, a 2-year-old.
All right. Hold on.
I'm starting to think this story doesn't exist.
It's a bunch of stories. It really freaked me out. Yesterday I noticed my neighbor. No. I think I went too far. Halloween. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think it's the Halloween one. Oh, it's so long. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. That's what they're here for.
It's really good. It's really good.
That's what they're here for. Lay it on us.
Okay. I think this is it. This isn't it. Okay, well, I'll read this one. This is a Halloween one.
All right.
Okay. And this doesn't say who writes them, so my apologies. Because you always say the person's name, but anyway. Okay.
Well, if you don't have them, you can't say them. So
I can make it up. All right. This is so funny. I'd never heard of BEKs before my incident, so I come on here to post my story, and the first story I see is about a BEK. Weird. Let me preface this by saying I'm by no means a writer, just a domestic engineer living in North Texas. Also, I don't believe in the paranormal, ghosts, demons, aliens, whatever. However, I did have an event happen to me this Halloween. I have to admit, has me scratching my head. This is my first post on Reddit, and sorry to say, I'd never even heard about it until yesterday. But this is on Thought Catalog, just so y'all know. They took this from Reddit. I told my best friend about my incident, and she's an avid reader of No Sleep, and she told me if I didn't post it, she would. So here I am. Anyway, hope you like. So it had been a slow trick-or-treat night in our neighborhood that evening, which is pretty odd in itself. We usually have kids from different areas dropped off in hours and have a constant parade at our door. That night, I'd say we'd had no more than 8 or 10 groups of kids come by the entire night. It was about 9:30, and my husband and I were sitting in our family room watching some of those ghost shows based on supposedly actual events. Like I said, I don't believe in that stuff, but I do like a good ghost story. Now and then.
I'm the exact same way. Like is this lady, is she single? Did she say she was with her boyfriend?
I think she said she had a husband. Yeah. And it was Halloween. They were watching ghost movies because it was Halloween. Duh. That's what you do on Halloween, people. Okay, we hadn't had any activity at the door in over half an hour, and it was getting late, so we decided to turn the porch light off and let our dog Chloe out of her crate. It's always dogs, man.
They have like that sense of evil.
Everybody go out and get you a dog so you know.
Evil.
Austin Powers.
Evil.
All right. We only put her in her crate because we were afraid she'd try and get out to play with all the kids, and I didn't want to have to chase after her down the street. Also, we didn't want her to scare any of the kids because she would look a little intimidating to the younger kids. So I turned the outside light off, let Chloe out. So I'm forgetting how to talk here.
It happens.
Blah, blah, blah.
I do that sometimes, reading them on the podcast.
Or you have on the radio and you're like, blah, blah, blah.
Fortunately, I've never had a Bruce Almighty moment like you're describing. But yeah,
I just watched Evan Almighty the other day.
I've been to the place where that dam scene was filmed, where like the dam.
Yeah.
I've hiked. It's a hiking trail near that.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it's cool.
Living your life.
Living it.
Okay, I turned the outside light off, let Chloe out, and she followed me back to the couch and lay down at my feet. It was getting close to 10 p.m. when my husband decided he'd had enough fun for the night and was going to go upstairs, take a shower, and get ready for bed. After all, it was Thursday, and he still had to get up early the next day. My teenage son was out with his friends at a local haunted house and wasn't expected back for another hour or so. So that left me alone on the couch with Chloe. Now, just because I don't believe doesn't mean those shows don't freak me out a bit. And being alone now watching, I'd have to say was kind of on... Wait, what? Being alone now watching, I'd have to say was kind of on edge, as it were. Okay, I guess that does make sense. Y'all get it. She was on edge from watching the movie.
She's a little freaked out.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, it wasn't long after I heard the upstairs water for the shower turn on when there came a light knock, knock, knock at the front door. My initial reaction was, what the hell, really? It's almost 10, go home. But soon an uneasy feeling came over me. Why the knock? Our doorbell glows, and in the dark and without the porch light, it would be extra obvious to anyone there. I paused. I couldn't really just ignore it. Our front door was a big bevel glass panel, and anybody right at the door could see in enough to see someone was in the family room watching TV.
See, absolutely
First of
not.
all,
yeah, I'm not
don't
ever.
do that.
I'm never going to have a setup to where you can like look in from the outside and see.
Even if it's not a clear view, come on, people. Jeez.
I mean, like I'll open now that we have the Christmas tree up, I'll turn those mini blinds and turn them open sometimes at night so you can see the tree riding by, but it's just this one thin little window and you can only see the tree. Like I paranormal or not, man, the thought that someone could be watching me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't like that at all.
It would be pretty rude for me to just sit there and not answer it. Knock, knock, knock again from the door. I glanced down at Chloe and she was gone. My gaze followed her usual path to the front door, expecting her to be on her way there as she normally does. Nothing. She wasn't there. I stood up to look around the room better and found her, crouching behind the back door like she was wanting out. However, she never asked to go out like that. She always comes and licks my hand or puts her head on my knee. This was totally out of character for her, and I have to say heightened my anxiety. Chloe, crate, I said. She just turned back to look at me like, hell no, lady, I ain't moving. I yelled up to my husband, and if he was already in the shower, I knew there was no chance of him hearing me. Knock, knock, knock. About that time, a car drove down our street and cast just enough light on the door to where I could see the silhouettes of two small children through the glass. I instantly felt relief. It was just some kids, probably a couple of my neighbors on their way back home, that wanted to stop by and show me their costume or something. I headed to the door and looked back to make sure Chloe wasn't going to follow. What a great watchdog, I thought to myself as she just sat there. Oh, she's being sarcastic. I turned on the porch light when I got to the door, and sure enough, I could see through the glass that it was a couple of pretty small kids. A little late for such young ones, I thought, and I began to wonder about what kind of parents would let their kids run the streets that late at night. I only opened the door enough to where I could block Chloe's escape if she decided to grow some balls, which was only about 2 feet. Oh, the door. She cracked the door 2 feet. I thought she meant the balls. I'm like, that's some big balls for a dog, for anyone.
Yeah, unless they're like a bull. That's a big set of balls.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. It was a girl and a boy. The girl to my left was older. I'd say about 11 or 12. I could tell she was blonde, but I couldn't make out any distinct features as our lights are from high above and on columns.
So the last two have had blonde girls.
Right. Lights are from high above on columns at the front of the porch, so most of the light was coming from behind them. I had not opened the door wide enough for any light from inside to hit them directly. The boy was younger and about a foot shorter. I'd say 8 or 9, and looked to have light brown hair. So he has brown hair, but it's light because he's not fully transformed yet.
Right. That's the last step. You get blonde hair.
The girl very politely spoke up. Ma'am, can we please come inside and use your phone to call our mom? As she spoke, something in the pit of my stomach was telling me something was wrong. What kid, even at that age, doesn't have a cell phone of their own? I was
just about to say, man, you should have a cell phone.
Get with the program, black-eyed kids. I couldn't remember the last time I'd had anybody ask to use my home phone. Hun, don't you have a phone of your own you can call your mom on? I asked. This was when things got really weird. Both kids turned to look at one another like they were going to say something to one another. Repetitive much? But neither ever spoke. They both turned back to me, and the girl said, Ma'am, my cell phone battery doesn't have any charge left in it. Can we please come inside and call our mother? We're alone out here, and my brother is scared.
What if they looked at each other and spoke telepathically?
They probably did, trying to figure out what they were going to say to that lady. That's exactly what I was thinking. I have to admit, there were two competing feelings going on inside me. The first, that of a mother's heart that wanted to help these two small children get to their mom. See, that would be me.
No.
I mean, I'm gonna know better, but at the same time, it's like that thought in the back of your head, like, what if these aren't black-eyed children and I'm just freaking out and I'm like turning away these kids that need help?
I mean, they should appeal to more senses, though, that I need a phone. Like, why not be like, excuse me, ma'am, our stepdaddy's drunk and he's chasing us with a knife and he's going to kill us.
Don't give him any ideas.
And then, you wouldn't think, like, you only have a split second because, Fred might come trouncing through the woods with a butcher knife.
True.
And you've got to save these kids. But when you're like, hey, I need to use your phone.
Yeah. Well, my first question, if they get any ideas from you, I'm going to be like, let me see your eyes. Let me see them eyes.
Shine the light.
All right. The other, a sinking fear in my gut that was keeping the other feeling at bay. It was then I noticed that during the short conversation, I had already opened the door a few extra inches, which I was completely unaware of doing. I stopped. Honey, why don't you give me your mother's number and I can call her myself? Another pause, and they again looked at one another. After a short moment, they turned back to me, and the girl said, Ma'am, my little brother has to use your bathroom. Can we please come inside while you call our mom? And with that last statement, the little girl moved closer towards the door like she was going to just walk in on by me. As she did, she stepped into the light coming from inside the house, and I got my first real good look at her. Solid, jet black eyes. That's all I could see. That motherly instinct was gone and replaced by terror, and I don't think I've ever felt in my life. I could feel every hair on my arms and back of my neck standing at attention. I closed the door to where just my face was able to stick out. The little girl stopped and again pleaded, Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out here. We have to come inside. Please help us. Then, like on cue, both kids began to whimper and cry. Oh,
I would have
so creepy.
Cry, baby.
That's when the fear took over and I shut and locked the door. Heck yeah. I'll call your mom if you give me the number, I shouted through the door. But I'm not letting you in my house. You tell them, lady.
Smart lady.
Yes. I could still see them standing there on the porch, just staring at me through the bevel glass pane. Part of me wanted to run upstairs to my husband, but the bigger part didn't want to lose track of where they were. That's smart. That would have freaked me out even more to not know where they were. After what seemed like forever, but probably only a few seconds, I decided I'd call my neighbor that lives across the street. As I made my way to the side table by our couch to my phone, I glanced at the back door. Chloe was nowhere to be found. We later found her in the guest room under the bed. When I got to my phone and started to look for his contact info, it was only then the kids stepped away from the door and began to walk to the street. As they did, I walked to the door to get a better look to see where they went, still not calling my neighbor. If you get close enough to the glass, you can see out enough to make out people's shapes, but you can't see much detail. Of course, standing that close to the door would make you pretty obvious to anyone outside looking in. From the door, I could see that the kids were still standing under the street lamp nearest my house, staring at me. As I lifted the phone to my ear after calling, only then did the kids start walking down our street. I met my neighbor out under the lamp once he was out there, but the kids were nowhere to be seen. Like I said, I don't believe in any of this stuff and had never even heard about black-eyed kids before talking to my friend. What I have to think, is these kids were just out yanking people's chains on Halloween night. But I will say this for them. They were good, really good at it. They scared the S out of me and my dog. It says S.
I wonder in today's time, though, which I just wouldn't think like an 11-year-old would do that. But like if kids aren't just getting like black contacts just to...
Yeah, but like it's their whole entire. I guess movies can do it, but
Wes Borland of Limp Bizkit, which I'm not a big Limp Bizkit fan, but if you remember, the guitarist had like the black-eyed contacts that gave him. It covered the whites and everything.
No, I don't remember that. I have to.
It sounds like they took advantage of knowing that there were a lot of kids out, being it was Halloween.
I wonder how many other people they tricked that night.
It's like they thought. The humans won't think twice.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
The looking at each other certainly seems like telepathic. Like, okay, well, tell her that I have to use the bathroom. And
right.
It's like, well, my little brother really needs to go pee. Can he come in?
It's pee on the bush, fool.
There's a whole world out there for you to pee on, young man.
Right. I have to find this one where they went inside. So you're going to have to either pause this or talk.
We don't pause.
We
keep the entertainment rolling.
I'm wondering if I saw it on a different website because...
So somebody claimed to have let them in. Do you know enough to just give us a summary?
Yeah, I read a little bit of it, but I remember reading it like back in the day, so I was like, I'm not going to finish reading this. So I don't remember how it ended. But I think it was an older couple. They let them in. I can't remember how I can't remember why they let them in, but anyway.
If it was an old couple, they just told the grandma-aged lady that their mom didn't feed them enough. And the grandma was like, come on in.
It's one of their typical charades, I guess, but she let them in, and so she went in the kitchen to make them some hot chocolate or something, and the husband was sitting in the living room with them, and he said he was trying to talk to them, but they just wouldn't reply. And so at some point, one of them said, our parents will be here soon. And then they asked to go to the bathroom. So the kids went into the bathroom, and then while they're in the bathroom, the husband got a really bad nosebleed. And so then the kids came out, and they said, our parents are here now. And left, I guess. And when they walked out the door, the lady saw, I think she said 2 like really tall, slender men in suits, and she like waved at them, but they didn't wave back. Men in black.
Tall, slender men.
I was thinking about Slender Man, but
well, Slender Man's not real. I mean, neither are these, but Slender Man's just. But like, think about it. Men in Black. You're familiar with the Men in Black, right? Or we're gonna have to do a video. We'll have to do a podcast on that. Would they become?
Yeah, we should. Ooh.
What if that's what it is? So the Men in Black are associated with extraterrestrials.
Oh. All
right. And I said in the beginning that it sounds like extraterrestrials, the Greys, wearing, human suits to, and they're going with a young age to fit their body structure, which is usually small and thin and short. And, the men in black, usually whenever there's an extraterrestrial event or anything and someone's talking, it's the men in black that come to visit them. And usually to tell them to keep their mouth shut. What if the men in black, and some people think men in black are aliens themselves, but
that would make sense.
What if that's it? What if they're getting into your house to get, they don't want to hurt you per se, but they, we know that the Greys are rumored to, abduct people and do experiments. They're trying to learn about us.
Yeah.
What if that's it? What if there's something in our homes that they want to see, or they want to just see how humans live, and the men in black are the ones that, drop them off and pick them up? I don't know why they would have to do that, but
one of these days we're going to find out all these answers.
I hope not.
Well,
unless it's just 100% confirmed to all be complete bullcrap.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much out there that we don't know. So, I mean, all of it is possible. The possibilities are endless.
Just like the multiverse.
So, anyways, after they left, the only thing I can remember that they said was weird that happened is the guy kept getting nosebleeds, and then he found out that he had like cancer that was
radiation.
See, that was, I remember that being like the thing radiation. That they said at the end.
A lot of times where alien aircraft has touched down or been active, there are usually high readings of radiation. So if they're extraterrestrial, it could stand to reason that there's a possibility there could be what for us is a deadly dose of radiation, but maybe their bodies just deal with it better.
Right.
Or it doesn't affect them, but they are producing radiation, maybe that from time on their ship.
All right. So here's a short one that I haven't read. Do we have time?
We do. We got time for one or two more.
All right. This one is called No, You Won't Be Calling Anybody, which is what you should always tell the black-eyed kids so they just fuck off.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to do it right. So they what?
They'll just off.
Beautiful.
All right, cool. The incident took place about 13 years ago. I had just moved to a new city with my wife. We were small town newlyweds from the Midwest. We moved cross country to one of the biggest cities in the Southwest so I could attend graduate school. Being naive. I added an extra letter in there. Being naive and new to the city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought. No, don't do that.
Right. Well, hey, sometimes
common knowledge.
Some country folks, man, they don't think twice. They just you hear like a on the door and they just like.
That is true. That's very true, Justin. You have a good point. Okay. I habitually answered the door without a second thought. Never again after this. The first thing that should have tipped me off to the peculiarity.
Peculiar. No, why can't I pronounce it? I know what it is, but now that you can't pronounce it, I can't pronounce it.
We're just going to say the weirdness.
Okay.
The weirdness of the situation was the fact that someone was knocking at 6 a.m. The second thing that should have dawned on me is this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch and open it.
What's even more peculiar-y?
Peculiar. Why can't I say that? The knock at the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready for work, a pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. To this day, I can picture him. Teenager, average height, average build, knee-length black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. Oh, he's from The Matrix.
Knee-length black leather coat. Yeah, he's definitely from The Matrix.
I wonder if it was just one this time. We'll find out. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as odd, and even more odd, he was eating an apple. I think I have read this one before. He was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up. I said no, closed the door, and slid the security chain into place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the now chained door, and before I could speak, he asked again if he could come in and warm up. No, I relay. What? No, my brain is not working. He didn't relay that. He said, no, I replied, and attempted to close the door. Before the door could shut, he put his hand out, stopping the door on its hinges. He looked directly into my eyes, still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?"
That was certainly an extraterrestrial trying to figure out, like Mark Zuckerberg, just constantly trying to figure out how to be a human. You know, like humans like this, right?
But you don't believe in the reptilians.
I don't think Mark Zuckerberg's a reptilian.
What do you think he is?
I think he's a robot.
He could. Yeah.
He's a robot or he's an extraterrestrial, one of the two. I mean, he's just like, I feel like he thinks he relates to people, but he doesn't. Like he just, I'm telling you though, the best thing in the world is the picture of Mark Zuckerberg surfing with all the sunblock on his face. Have you ever seen that?
I think I have.
It's one of my favorite pictures that's ever been created.
Is it because he's a robot and he doesn't need sunscreen?
He's just like humans use sunscreen.
Oh, gotcha.
But anyways, tell the story.
All right.
And then I'll show you the picture.
Okay, can I at least get some ketchup for my apple? Fuck that, I reply.
Jessi.
I need the board. I'm telling you, I need a button.
All right, let's try it again.
All right. That, I reply. Now let's do it again. All right. Okay, I'm just going to go. All right. That, I replied. Albeit, what is that
Albeit.
Albeit. Okay. Albeit a little confused. Get the hell out of here. My wife is calling the police. He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing his eyes black as obsidian, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody."
So it's like he wanted her to see his black eyes.
Geez. At that moment, I forced the door closed, locked it, and called out to my wife. She is scared shitless, hiding in the bedroom, all jacked up on adrenaline. I ripped the curtains back to look out the window next to the door. He's gone. Absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio and check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. What? That was... All right, I need the button. That was... fucked up.
Jessi.
You didn't do the button. I thought you were going to press it.
Do it again.
That was fucked up. Okay.
I tried again.
All right. That was fucked up. There we go. We got it.
Got it.
I think to myself, and as I turned to enter the house, I noticed a half-eaten apple lying on the ground. So he was definitely there because the apple was there, but the gate was freaking latched from the inside and he was nowhere to be found. Jeez.
I'm telling you.
That is really freaking creepy. But I think you have a good point. Like, why was it just one? Oh, he was just out having fun.
That's one of the few times where it is just one and not two.
Black-eyed grandparents. Oh, I have to read this.
Oh, you have to read this. But
Okay,
first, look
because
at my desktop.
They're not... Oh!
That's Mark Zuckerberg's. If you have never done, Google Mark Zuckerberg's sunblock.
That has to be Photoshopped.
It's not.
How do you know?
Because I've seen so many different pictures.
Oh.
That is one of my favorite pictures because it's like he's not human. And he was like, humans use sunblock, Mark. If you're going to surfboard, you should look human. That's how humans do it.
He looks like
a mime.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. No, a Harajuku or whatever. What are those? The Asian women that they paint their face white?
It's I mean, I understand, getting sunblock is just a bummer. But I don't not want to get sunblock that bad. You know what I mean?
Sunblock.
I don't not want to get sunburned that bad.
Well, you don't want to get sunblocked that bad either.
Right. I don't want to do either. I mean, like, I bet that's like SPF, like 100.
Yeah.
So, like, somehow you lose color. But I love that picture. As you can see, I'm just going to leave it as my desktop background.
Wow, you're inviting that negativity into here.
That's not negativity.
Are you kidding?
Unless you're the sun and you want to touch Mark Zuckerberg's face. That's the only way that's negative.
You ain't touching my face, son. Son of a gun.
I am Mark Zuckerberg, and I control Facebook and now the sun.
Oh, my God. I can't deal with all of these random loud
Yeah, next
noises.
week I'm gonna have my dog and my daughter on the other side of the house.
Can we just have the dog down here?
Yeah, we could. Unless he hears a noise and then he'll start barking.
It's okay because everybody loves dogs.
That's true.
All right, are you ready for this black-eyed grandparent?
I am. I've never heard one that wasn't children.
I know. Bit of a scene setting. In 96 or 97, I lived in a fairly old terraced house with a cemetery at the end of the road. Cliche, I know, but it's an important detail. Nothing remarkable about the house or the area. It was just convenient for college. Anyway, I wake up late one night on the PC in my bedroom. Wait, you wake up on the PC? Hold on. That doesn't make any sense. I read it wrong. That's why it didn't make sense. Okay. All right, starting over. Anyway, I was up late one night on the PC in my bedroom, which looked out onto the street. Was about 2 or 3 a.m. For whatever reason, probably to give my eyes a rest, I wandered over to the window and looked down the road in the direction of the cemetery. That was your first mistake, buddy.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't want to look in the
when
direction.
I go see some creepy shit out of my window. Although it was too far down the street for me to see. Okay, so he couldn't see it. He was just looking in that direction. Okay. All right. I saw 3 people walking slowly down the road. They're zombies.
Totally zombies.
I could see that they were quite old and appeared to be dressed in funeral clothes, which, given the hour, was weird. Yeah.
You've never buried a loved one late at night?
3 a.m. It's like the best time to be burying people in a cemetery.
And you don't have to block up traffic with a funeral procession.
That's true. I'm going to do that, except I'm getting cremated, so it doesn't matter.
I'm getting cremated too.
Holla. All right. Okay. There were 2 women and a man. I'd put their ages at about 80, and the woman in the middle was being steadied or guided by the other woman, and the man, as they came closer, I got the impression that she was upset. Okay. My first thought was that, given their age, she had recently buried her husband, and grief had caused her to behave slightly irrationally, causing her to try to be out near the cemetery at that hour, and that the other 2 were friends or relatives trying to look after her and get her home. This guy is so logical. That would not be my first thought.
Yeah.
My first thought is ghost.
I don't know that.
Well,
I would definitely think there was something off.
That was definitely that was a logical explanation he had there.
Some thought went into that one.
It really did. Anyway, it was all interesting enough for me to carry on watching as they got closer to the house. Just outside the front of the house was a street lamp. I watched them as they made their way past, but when they got to the lamppost, they all stopped, and the upset woman in the middle looked up at me and grinned. Oh, no, don't do that.
The grandma looked up at him and grinned and said, "Oh, no." Really? Oh, that's not part of the story.
That was me. That was my reaction to the story.
You had me going. I thought I was going to say, Jessi, your storytelling skills are becoming amazing. Not only are you telling the story, but you're voicing the characters. I'm never reading again.
Okay. No, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that was my reaction because she was all upset and then she just stopped and looked at him and grinned.
That would have made it even freakier, though, if she looked at him, grinned, and said, "Oh, no."
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This was when things got weird. The grin became sort of a grimace, and there was
Hold on, pause. I don't want to interrupt your story. I have to know. How do you grimace? What does a grimace look like?
I don't know, but it just reminds me of the Lego Batman movie when he says his smile is our grimace or something like that.
Grimace at me.
Okay, so grin will be like.
Right.
A grimace is like.
Oh, that's freaky. You make a good. That's
a good grimace.
Let
me see your grimace.
I don't even know. I can't do that.
Let's see it.
I can't.
Are you looking up grimace?
I am. I want to see what grimace looks like.
Grimace is such a weird word.
Grimace is a purple monster that promotes McDonald's.
Oh, I remember that. I didn't know that was his name. Why would they give him such a terrible name?
Is that Why?
What the hell? There's no pictures of Grimace?
Grimace expression. Let's do that. That guy looks like that looks like he's got one of those, like, he's having a really painful poop.
Yeah.
And he's
I was going to say he looks like he's in pain. Oh, I've had those. Oh, God.
Or like the one, never mind, we won't get that gross. But yeah, yeah, so that's a Grimace.
Are they just all mug shots? Like,
is that okay? All right, that's not.
I don't know, guys.
That's just silly. All right, but anyways, I have a good idea of a Grimace now. I need to be able to visualize that to put myself in the story.
She was just like an evil smile, I think.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Okay. The grin became a sort of a grimace, and if there was any color in her face to start with, it was now dead white. At that point, I realized I was staring right into her eyes, but her eyes were pitch black. Time sort of dilated. Oh, time. I thought he was talking about the eyes. I was like, that don't make sense.
They were already black. How do they dilate?
Right. How you going? I'm already dilated. I can't dilate any farther.
I'm already dilated. I can't dilate.
Okay, if you've ever crashed a car, the final split second before you make impact seems to drag out as you process more information than normal in the time frame. It was that sort of thing. I'm sure we only made eye contact for a second, but it felt like several minutes as my peripheral vision faded, and I felt like all I could see was these two black holes in her face drawing me in. Although the distance between us didn't change, she somehow felt like she was coming closer, and I was kind of aware, although I couldn't honestly say I could see them at that point, that the two people with her were just continuing to look down the road as if frozen, but waiting for this woman to finish whatever she was doing.
So, like, is that a regular thing that I'm going to name her Ethel? Just that sounds like an old person name. Is
it
that
does.
Like they're so used to Ethel grimacing at strangers that they're like they don't even react to it.
Here she
They're
goes again.
Just let her grimace. If you don't let her grimace, she's gonna hear about it later.
Just gotta let her do it.
She's just sitting there going, and they're just like, any minute now.
It's too late for this shit, Ethel.
Get your shit together,
Get
Ethel.
your ass on. Okay. I was suddenly hit with this intense feeling of dread and panic. It's a telltale sign.
I wonder if like radiation doesn't have like a side effect of create, because there are things that can affect your mind that make you feel like it. Not to mention like they could probe a certain part of your brain and just make you feel dread. But there are like venoms like from certain animals that give you this overwhelming sense of dread, which I feel like would, oh yeah.
Well, is it just because you're about to die?
I was gonna say I feel like all venom that's lethal, would give you an impending sense of doom because like you about to die.
Right,
but
exactly.
I'm wondering if like we'll find out strong doses of radiation can make you feel a sense of impending doom because it's all kind of tying into extraterrestrials.
It could be about vibes. I mean, because
dude, their vibes are so off.
Their vibes. Their vibes are just bad, dude. No bad vibes.
I mean, it could be. Okay,
I was suddenly hit with the intense feeling of dread and panic so I threw myself to the floor. As soon as I'd broken her gaze, I felt pretty stupid that this upset old woman who clearly needed help had spooked me so badly. So I looked out the window again, and there was no sign of them. It was a longish straight road, and the house was towards the middle. So Lingford Christie, who's that? Would have had trouble getting out of sight in the time I looked away, let alone 3 octogenarians. I don't know any of these words. What is an octogenarian? An old person ghost?
We're going to go with that.
Yeah, I don't know who Linford.
So she looked up at him, and first she was like, and then she went.
Wait, I don't know. I really don't think that sure. Yeah.
That's weird.
I think her smile got evil looking. I think that's what they mean.
It's interesting though that that they were older people and not kids.
Yeah, that is. Well,
that's normally
maybe
the
they
appeal.
were. Maybe.
Just maybe.
They were. Maybe when you get older as a black-eyed person, you have to eat dead people, and that's why they were at the cemetery.
I mean,
eating dead people.
Why would you specifically have to eat dead people? Why wouldn't just any people work? Like I only can eat, only decaying flesh gives me sustenance.
I don't know, man, because maybe the younger ones need like the extra vitamins from living people or something, you know, or like the life force that are in people, but like the older ones, I mean, they're about to, well, I mean, I guess.
What if the older ones are just black-eyed kids who haven't eaten in a while? So like eating people keeps them younger. And if they don't eat for a while, they start to show their real age. Kind of like the Sanders sisters, those Sanderson sisters.
Yeah, the Sanderson sisters.
On that movie that
Hocus Pocus.
Every white girl's favorite movie come Halloween.
I made cookies before I came over here that are of Binks.
My girlfriend, like that's one of her favorite movies of all
She's
time.
a good person. For liking
because
that movie.
she likes that movie. I mean, sure, she burns down nursing homes in her spare time, but I mean, other than that, she loves that movie. So
Binks was pretty freaking hot, if I must say so myself.
In his cat form?
Heck yeah.
And just earlier, you were acting like I was a weird person when I said
pussies?
some people. I do, but we were talking about ducks and.
Well, that was a joke. He's hot in his human form, but is he the same one that played Casper?
I don't know, but wouldn't he have been like 16?
Oh, listen.
Look, unless you're gonna get into that cougar phase of life. You're too young. You're too young to be a cougar, but I'm just saying.
I had a huge crush on him when I was younger, and that doesn't go away. I'm still attracted to Zach Hansen.
Again, you and every other white girl.
See, I'm not alone. Like, it just doesn't go away. I'm sure he's still attractive. Let's look him up.
You know who was actually attractive despite how much crap she gets from everybody? In that movie, Sarah Jessica Parker was hot.
Dude.
Like young Sarah Jessica Parker, and she was kind of like the slutty of the three witches.
Oh, she got crap because of the movie or because of the way she looks?
People
think she's ugly?
Yeah, a lot of people give her crap. It's like a common joke. Watch Family Guy.
She was born that way. Like, why are you going to make fun of somebody's face they were born with? I don't know. She might have had some.
Mark Zuckerberg was born this way.
I don't think so.
That might be fresh out.
So was he a human and then like turned into a robot?
I think he was I think that he's, I don't know, maybe the government like has him chained up for his knowledge and they just have an android in his place.
Oh.
Or
that's probably true.
Or he's just
I'm sorry, he's what?
An extraterrestrial.
Maybe he died. Oh, maybe he died, right? But they had to preserve his brain. So they put it in a robot to make it look like he was still alive.
And now he's just trying to remember what humans used to do now that he's no longer of the flesh.
I'm just trying to figure out this person. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
What person?
Binks. I'll figure it out later.
You're still thinking about Binks.
Because I was just thinking about how hot he is. And also Casper in his human form, but they kind of look alike. I wonder if it's the same person.
So, like, your next man needs to just dress up as like a black cat, and that's just going to get you going.
My next woman is just going to have to look like Binks, the human.
And your first woman. Your next / first woman lover ever. Yeah, okay.
You don't know that?
Oh, okay. No, I think I would. Would you? Yeah, we've told each other a lot of dirt on each other, so I feel
we might need to have a conversation when this is over.
You got to fill me in. You got to fill me in. I've been left out of the loop here.
Oh,
but anyway,
I don't want my parents to listen to this because they might think I'm being serious.
Oh man. So black-eyed kids, what I'm taking away here is that they are extraterrestrial, that they are putting off radiation.
Yeah, for real.
And I honestly think they want to get into your house to study you, not to eat you.
If they're extraterrestrials, though, they would have like such better ways of doing that.
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, they're very intelligent, but there are people that think that extraterrestrials are just demons.
I know, but I don't believe that.
I don't either. But I mean, like, it could be that, like, yes, they're super smart with technology and stuff, but I mean, still trying to integrate into a species. I mean, like, Elon Musk is brilliant, but if you threw him into a herd of gorillas trying to integrate into and be accepted and into that society is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
So, it very well could be that, like, maybe the government said, okay, you can study people, but I'm not saying that nobody gets abducted these days, but so the black-eyed kid showed up in like the 90s, mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Maybe in the late 80s, but really blew up in the late 90s. All right, think about it. When we were kids in the 90s, it was like that time and before when everybody was getting abducted by aliens. When's the last time you've heard of like a convincing abduction story?
I don't know, but
it's been a long time.
I guess they are
like a recent, like I've been abducted by aliens in the last couple of months. Like the stories I'm hearing are all from like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s.
They're always like older stories.
They're older. All right. And so we've said that, it's been said that the government's been in contact with aliens and doing, trading for technology and stuff. What if once upon a time the government told them, yes, you can experiment on our people and study them in exchange for this technology, whatever. But what if it got to the point where like the abduction stories blew up so much the U.S. government told the aliens, you're no longer allowed to study us this way. And then so the extraterrestrials were like, we're only here to study you. So basically the government's like, tell you what, if you can get permission to go into, if you can only study humans if you have their permission. As silly as that sounds, but if you think about it, now it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Now they can't come in unless you invite them. And maybe they don't necessarily want to probe you and prod you. Maybe they just want to see, now they're at the phase where they've dissected us enough that they're like, we want to see how humans live.
Yeah.
What do their homes look like on the inside?
Did you just come up with this?
I did. Just like right here on the spot.
Like in awe of your logic.
Just now. I mean, because if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because they used to abduct us to study us. Maybe the government stepped in. Whatever, or maybe even if it won't the government, maybe they just started realizing how aware of them we were becoming.
Right. Yeah. And they couldn't lie about it anymore because there's so many stories.
And maybe instead of the government, maybe whoever's in charge of the Greys was like, hey, we can't abduct them anymore. Like, we're starting to cause a stir. They're talking about us. We need to find a new way to study them.
We don't have enough mind erasers to fix this.
Where's that Will Smith fella? Find his mind eraser. But maybe that's it.
Wow. That makes so much sense.
Did we just figure out the black-eyed kids?
Now I want to let them in.
I don't.
I'm okay with aliens, though. I'm not scared of aliens.
I mean, not all aliens are supposedly good.
Well, I don't know. Which ones are bad?
Sometimes they say the Greys are. They're the most commonly accepted for abducting us and doing sexual things to our bodies. Yeah, if they were to abduct me, they would get a semen sample. If they were to abduct you, they would stick things in places they have no business sticking things and extracting like eggs and stuff.
Yeah, so, I have heard that. I don't know about sticking it in your,
Well, how else they gonna get?
They're aliens.
So, I mean, they get semen samples from men. My question, according to abduction stories, they've gotten semen samples from men. How?
They can probably psychically do these things, just like pull it out of your body through your skin.
Oh, see, that's less exciting. I thought you were going to say, like, psychically give you an orgasm. I would be like, yo,
no.
I would date one of them.
They probably could, though, for real.
Like, you imagine it's like, I'm not in the mood. Okay, well then do it with your mind. Thank you.
For real, they probably could do that though. I mean, they're way more psychically advanced than we are.
I mean, that is supposedly like how they talk is telepathically. The Greys don't use vocalized language. I've always thought it was fascinating to think, and we won't get too deep into aliens because we'll have a whole nother video about extraterrestrials, which will probably be my favorite because I love talking extraterrestrials. Me too. But like, it's almost as if, I used to think extraterrestrials, the Greys, were just us from the future, just coming back to observe events in history.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that one time. And people are like, well, why they look so different? Because we evolve. Right. Humans evolve. We don't look like we did thousands of years ago, and we won't look this way thousands of years from now. And they don't have like a gender because you don't procreate like.
Well, they don't hump to make babies.
Right.
They can just do it in their little spaceship lab.
Right.
So with their telepathic orgasms.
But they also, I mean, from what I've read, they don't conform to any type of gender. Everybody is this. It's like.
Well, if you don't have genitals, I don't think you can really,
I guess that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, in the mindset of like gender being a social construct, but it's like what if we evolved to the point we got so smart we stopped having kids, with the type way. I don't know who makes that noise, like like the girl would be like,
that one song.
Baby, you're making the noise again. Sorry. But yo, you got to change that damn ringtone. I don't like that. I don't like it.
I'm sorry.
I don't like it.
I'm really sorry.
Because it comes through the mic.
I like it.
It comes through the microphone. So then I'm hearing that in my ear.
But in real life, it's not startling, and that's why I like it.
It's very startling for me for some reason. But, I just thought like extraterrestrial, just as we evolved, we eventually moved into space more. Living in space we are evolved the way that we are because of the planet we live on.
Yeah.
Because of the conditions on this planet, our bodies and our evolution has shaped us in a way to comfortably live on this planet.
Comfortably.
And if we were to shift or if any part of our population was to, span out into the stars and just live on spaceships for thousands and thousands of years, it stands to reason we would evolve differently.
Right.
And not look, so that could be it. They have little fragile bodies. They recreate it without, that's the way evolution works, is if you don't use it, you lose it over time.
They don't have to will their muscles because they move everything with their mind.
I mean, I get not having sex to make babies, but I don't get sex. It's like, were we so fascinated with space that we just didn't find sex interest?
Maybe.
Well, also too, can you make whoopee in space?
Well, okay, so this goes back to what you were saying about psychically, whatever. I mean, they could probably still, get it on, without the actual,
How?
Psychically. They could psychically do it to each other.
But they don't have genitals to stimulate. You
wouldn't need genitals.
How do you have orgasms without the genitalia?
Maybe they've just evolved beyond that.
In the George Norrie book, they talk about spiritual orgasms.
See?
As weird as that sounds, if you actually read that part of the book, it doesn't sound. It's not as weird as I'm saying. They said that somebody was asking someone who had supposedly been to seen what the afterlife was, and they were talking about is there any, sex or anything like that in the afterlife, or do we just what is life like without the flesh, And they were like, oh well, there's still sex and things like that, but it's more of a spiritual orgasm than a physical one. So maybe they just reach into each other's souls with their minds.
Yeah. I think so. That's how it works. You hit the nail on the head.
It's my noise right there.
Hey, we got to put that one sound from last week.
What sound was? Oh, there was one part. All right, so if somebody can find out where it is, I'll give you a prize. There's one teeny tiny part of last week's podcast where I took one of Jesse's sounds and I reversed it, in the podcast. So it normally would have been, one sound ended up sounding completely different. And nobody ever mentioned it, so I don't know if they didn't find it.
It wasn't noticeable. I was listening. I've been meaning to tell you this all freaking week. So last week we did Skinwalkers.
Right.
My son and I, who was 9, we were driving down the road at night on some back roads, okay? Listening to the podcast. He wanted to listen to it. He was kind of iffy about it, but he was into it. So we are going down these back roads. I see a freaking deer in the road, right? Normally, they're either just standing there or they're galloping off. This one was moving so slow across the road, like taking his precious time. I don't know. He might have got hit or was hurt or something. But while we were listening to the podcast about skinwalkers, it freaked me out. Like, I had to cut the podcast off. I was like, I can't do this.
So your own podcast freaked you out?
It did.
Bad. I mean, sometimes deer just are dumb.
I've never seen one
slow,
walk like.
I watched a video of a deer eating a bird just a little while ago. Aww. Like a bird had broke its wing and was on the ground flapping around.
That's so sad.
And the deer just eats the bird.
Boo.
Which would suck because deer don't have teeth designed to rip and tear meat and finish them off quick. So it'd just be like your flat teeth just. It'd be a bad way to go.
Yes.
That poor bird.
For real, that deer was a douchebag.
It was a douche. It was probably a skinwalker.
Oh, it probably freaking was.
It hadn't had no human flesh in a while, so it figured the bird.
A bird will do.
Yeah, the bird will do it.
Ah, these teeth.
Oh, my flat, painful teeth.
I wish this bird was a salad.
Well, I mean, what's bad is it's in a patch of grass too, so it's not like the deer could be like, "Well, I'm so hungry, there's nothing to eat." You ate the bird while it was laying on your food. Oh, that deer was in fact a douchebag.
Yes, he was, or he had rabies.
But let us know what you thought of the podcast. Consider joining our Patreon for all kinds of bonus content like JP and I's. And if you're new to the channel, JP is another person that podcasts on this channel with us. JP and I, we got a little bit inebriated on Friday and we podcasted, and we hadn't seen each other in a while. So it was just me gushing over JP for like a solid hour.
I bet. Were you guys here?
Yeah.
Because
he was sitting in your seat.
I am mad at you that you didn't invite me.
I didn't know he was.
I had no children.
I wasn't expecting JP to show up.
You could just call me. I had no children on the weekends. Just freaking call me.
I would have thought that. I would have thought to do that if I was not inebriated.
I can't miss opportunities to see JP.
Me either.
So now you know when he comes back in another 10 years.
Right.
To call me up.
And you're going to hide behind like one of these chairs.
That's such a good idea.
And then just pop up.
Can we do that? Like invite him. Like,
yeah.
It might take a few tries to get him here.
He's not going to come the first time.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
He's not going to come the second time either.
No.
Maybe the third time.
Maybe we should telepathically make him come. I had to add that. I didn't think you got my joke.
That was a good full circle there. Okay. I like how you brought it back. So definitely check out our Patreon and support the channel because this equipment that we're using, it is not cheap. And also, you can get some extra stuff. In the meantime, check out our channel for more Weird Wednesdays, and we'll be back next week with some other weird subject. Let us know your thoughts on black-eyed children in the comments. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about, and we'll definitely get to it. But in the meantime, I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.